113 here. So if you've seen the title, you know what's in this video. This is something that I've been looking to get for a while now, but I never really got around to it, mainly because, you know, Benchmade knives are a little pricey. Now I'm not going to say 140 bucks is super pricey, but still, you know, working as I do, making as little money as I do, it's not really easy for me to just sling around money whenever I want. So, yeah, I've wanted a nice folding knife for a while, especially since I have a Benchmade triage that I currently can't locate, but it's somewhere in my garage, I think. But the problem really is that for the location I'll be using it in, the state I'll be using it in, not my home state, but where I'm spending a lot of time, it's not legal to carry. It's legal to own, but I never understand those states that have carry but not own laws, or I mean own but not carry laws. It's like, okay, you can own the knife, you just better teleport it home when you buy it because you can't have it carry it, you know. So either way, this knife is just under 3 inches, which is great. I'll read you out all the specs when we unbox this thing. But yeah, this is obviously the video on the North Fork folder, specifically model number 150312-2. All right, and this is, of course, Dymondwood handle scales, not the G10. So let's take a look. Alright, so here's the Amazon box. Now, I apologize for my shitty knife, but I'm going to be using this, man, I've had this for years. This is one of those Smith & Wesson, this is the first responder knife. It's got the seatbelt cutter built into the handle, and then the glass breaker on the back. It's not a bad knife, but the quality isn't there. I mean, even locked up, there's no front to back blade play, but you can see it wiggles a lot. Here, even down here, you can feel it. And then, of course, when you close it up, yeah, that's not centered. It's rubbing on the right side. Yeah, on the right side. So, anyway, we'll open it up. The blade steel's not bad though, so you know I can use my Edge Pro and keep it sharp. Yeah, so as you know, this knife that we're unboxing here is in Benchmade's Hunt series, okay? And here it is. Alright, and it's sort of a Apple-style clamshell box, which looks to have been opened, but I'm guessing it's, well, see, it's got the seal type tape on one side, the circular seal type tape, and then it's got a piece of Scotch tape on the other side. So right now, I mean, I know a lot of people seem to not really care about the box. They'll literally just take the knife out and throw the box away. But you know what? I'm one to keep these things, so I'm going to try to see if I can get this tape off without destroying the box. Just because it's nice to have the box, I think. If you have a collection, and eventually I want to have a showcase for all the different things I collect. And it'd be nice to be able to just place the knives on top of their boxes in the showcase and be like, yeah, you know, I got this. I'm trying to pull this off. The tape is splitting. It is coming off without ripping anything, which is nice. Or minimal, anyway. I'm not losing a whole lot of color here. But I really wish they wouldn't have used the Scotch tape. Wherever, I mean, if this is Amazon's doing, then Amazon, you know what? Not a good job. Alright, so I got it off without too much damage there. And then I'll probably just cut the other side because that stuff never comes off. Those little circular circle tapes. Alright, so as I said, model number 15031-2. In the Hunt series, this is their North Fork folder with the Dymondwood. So that is, I believe, compressed birch and other... was it birch? And there was some other wood. But either way, it's a combination of a bunch of woods that's pressed together in a resin to keep it really water resistant and impervious to flexing, cracking, expanding, and shrinking. Alright, here you go, Benchmade difference, you know, how to clean and lubricate, you know, basic stuff, you know, you don't really need to do this. Also, of course, if you don't sharpen it yourself, you can send it back to them and, you know, as long as you pay shipping, I think they'll sharpen it for you for free, which is always nice. Again, I personally like to sharpen my own blades. You know, get an Edge Pro Apex or something like that. Any of those sharpeners will be good. But yeah, it comes in this little bag, and this is really interesting. I know you're gonna be like, get to the knife, but just give me a second. I'm sort of nerding out here over this this styrofoam they got in here, because this is very different than the styrofoam I'm used to. You can see like the big. It's very flexible. It's not like normal stiff styrofoam, and it's got these big cells, as you can see there. All right, I'm gonna stop doing that. So it comes in this little baggie. And there's the knife, and of course it comes with a little axis lock thing telling you about how this axis lock works, and I think it's been installed for right-hand carry, this clip. Obviously you can switch it over, and this is of course CPM S30V, which is quite nice in terms of resistance to corrosion and keeping an edge, and that is sharp. And by the way, I have pretty small hands. You know, I guess it's the what are the downsides of being Asian? I don't know. I don't know if it's a downside, but in this case, I have small hands, and so I've seen a lot of complaints online about this knife being, you know, the handle being too small. But I think for me, it's absolutely perfect, because if you see, my hand fits perfectly on there, and I'm not scrunching together or anything. I'm pretty spread out here. Even if I spread them out, everything just falls into place. There's some jimping right up here, both on the liner, and this has got stainless steel liners, skeletonized a bit. You can see them; they're sort of drilled out in there. The deployment studs here are a different shape, as everyone has talked about. They used to use, or on the triage that I have, which is their rescue knife, I have the one with the sheep's foot blade, and it's black G10 scales, but that one has the sort of pyramid-shaped ones where it's sort of tiered, so as it goes up, there's on the bottom you have all 3 layers, and then the second one you have just 2, and then the top is just a single inner part of it. So this, I say, is a little bit better because it's definitely rounded, so it doesn't feel like it's cutting into your hand. Now, if you were actually using this as a hunting knife, I do think that the stud would get in the way. Again, I don't hunt, never hunted in my life. I've never skinned an animal, okay? But I still think that if you were doing that if you're inside the animal trying to cut out stuff on the inside, that the studs would really get in the way. Especially there's like tendons involved and stuff. I mean, because that's even higher than just a little bit, you know, right in line with the handle. And if you want all of that blade surface, so if you're worrying about that stud, basically this back portion of your blade is not usable because it'll get caught up in there. But I think from the factory, it's pretty smooth. You know, it's not like completely falling into place, because if I hold it like this with the lock disabled, it's staying in place. But if I just flick it, it falls into place. So I'm not having a problem with that. Now, everyone says that this clip has a bit of a phallic shape. I think less so on this one than the one that doesn't have the split in it. So they call this, I think, the split arrow design. But the other one that's solid definitely looks worse. Other thing, blade. So again, this is a first impressions video. I will be doing a full review at some point in the future after I've used this for at least a week. I really want to give it more than like a month, but because I'm going to be using this as an EDC. So the blade, it was hard to see on you know, different websites, and especially Amazon where I bought this. They have really bad camera angles when they took pictures of the blade, so you really couldn't tell the blade shape very well. You couldn't tell if it was a reflection or whatever. But based on other reviews, and people have talked about it, it does, and you can see here, now that I'm holding it exactly the way it needs to be held to see it, the blade has a very slight recurve. Now, again, it's not that big of a deal for me because the recurve is so subtle that honestly, on my sharpener, it really won't affect the angle at all that much. But if it was a larger recurve, it would be more problem. But either way, I would have preferred a straight drop point. But I just thought that for my uses, the jimping on the blade and the handle was so, the liner was so useful, and the shape, and it's just beautiful. I mean, you just look at this knife. The wood is just very nice. I would have preferred if the one that I had gotten had lighter wood on it, because some of the other ones that I've seen online, they vary, because of course this is a composite material for the wood, so it's not going to be just straight wood. Now I will say, if you're using this with your hands, the grip isn't bad, but definitely if you're using this with any kind of cloth, gloves, or anything like that, it's going to slip out of your hands. It's pretty slick. I can just imagine, like, this is a cloth glove, this, and it's just slipping out. Now if you grip it real tight, it might not, but if I'm not gripping on the clip, like if I'm just gripping up here, it's falling right out. So again, something to keep in mind if you work with gloves on all the time, probably not a good EDC for you. The only reason this is good for me, because again, like I said, I need a knife that's under 3 inches. This is 2.97 inches, so it's cutting it real close, but it's right in there. Has a lot of usable surface, because again, obviously drop point, and it even has that slight recurve. How much usable surface does that recurve add to the blade? Not much. Not much at all. It's basically just for looks. But I still like it. If you use a sharpener that requires a flat portion, there is a good flat portion on the top here, and it goes 3/4 of the length, or 3/4 of the length of the blade, or more. So that makes it really stable when you're using it on a table, on the sharpening table. Again, I love this. Also, if you like to attach a lanyard to your knife, you'll be happy to know that on these knives, the hole is much more oval shaped, which is better for different types of paracord and all that to get through. I've never used a lanyard on my knives. I sort of just keep them clipped in my pocket. But anyway, guys, that's my first impression of the North Fork folder from Benchmade, specifically model 15031-2. And before we go, obviously, we got to do a paper cutting test, all right? So let me get some paper. So I'll do a comparison. Now, I'm not really sure what kind of steel this knife is. This is the Smith & Wesson I was just talking about. But I did sharpen it last night. I don't think I did a perfect job. But I use this knife so much, and the steel seems kind of soft, so I'm not big on getting it absolutely 100% perfect, because I know I'm just going to have to redo it, doing the things I do, cutting hoses and all that stuff. So we'll do a test, all right? So this is this knife, all right? We'll do another cut here. And now let's get this Benchmade. And a lot of people have talked about how they didn't get very good factory edges from the factory from Benchmade. I have to disagree, at least in my experience. I can't speak for theirs, but for me, I've never had an issue. Like, I've only had, I think, 2 Benchmade knives before this, but I can't remember what. I think maybe I had a Griptilian before the Triage, but the Triage for sure, I remember that came razor sharp, and it did dull out quicker though, because not like instantly, of course, but with use, because it is N680, and N680 is a little softer. I will go ahead and, oh man, that's beautiful. Look at that. Yeah, that's perfection right there. I mean, I'll just go straight through. And of course, if the steel is a little bit harder, it'll let you get a better edge than if it's super soft. Because if it's super soft, you're going to be rolling over all the time with the sharpener. You're going to be forming a burr before you're even ready to go to the next side. And so But either way, they did a great job from the factory. I have no complaints. I mean, the fact that I can do this, right? I'm holding the paper on this end, and I'm able to cut through it this way. So, great job, Benchmade from the factory here. You can see again comparison with, and I only went up to 600 grit on these. I just sort of leave them there so you can see. I mean, you can't see on camera. It probably looks pretty shiny on camera, but that edge is still pretty rough looking. I mean, the visible sheen is not amazing for sure. It's not a mirror finish, and you can see there's a couple spots on this blade that the original grind is actually a little sketchy, and actually the metal seems like to have little dips and casts in it. So it sort of catches. So as you can see, it caught there. Whereas this knife, the blade, being S30V, is much more uniform. So if I come in here, it's literally cutting the side of the paper. So if I come in like with this, and I come in like this, it's literally cutting through a curved part of the paper. Now, am I saying that you can't get a knife like this sharp? No. Okay. I probably should spend more time with it. Move up to 1,000 grit maybe if I want to get super fine. But again, there still is no comparison here. I have to say, Benchmade never disappoints. And again, centering on this, absolutely perfect. All right. And deployment, quick and easy. And it's basically already smoothed out after just flicking it a few times. And as you've seen, so I have no complaints here. Like I said, I'll give you a review in a week or two after using it. Ideally, I like to do a month, but I'll get at least a week in of use, and I'll let you guys know how it is. And also, I'm checking here for blade play, just as I always do with all my knives. There's no play at all. The only movement I'm getting is probably the blade flexing a little bit. But considering how small this knife is, that's still a pretty thick blade stock. I mean, oh damn, sorry about that, guys. Dropped the other knife. I'm pretty sure, let's see, I have a bad eye. I mean, I'm not great at judging these things, but I would venture to say that it's actually thicker than this other knife, the Smith & Wesson. And there's really just no comparison in quality either. Like, I mean, you know, this wobbly piece of junk. But anyway, guys, enough with the video. I've sliced enough paper all over my desk. Anyway, guys, that's been my take on the North Fork folder from Benchmade, model 15031-2, the Dymondwood scales. I think this is a great knife for my initial impressions, and hopefully my time with it over the next few weeks will show that. Because I love how it looks, I love how it feels. Let's just see if it works. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to rate or like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos. And leave any questions or comments you got in the comments below. You know how to do it. You know what to do. Alright? Alright, you guys have a good one.